Well, what do you do for a living?
I'm an ABC bureaucrat. I look after the ship.
Peter started his career as a copy boy for the Daily Telegraph in the mid-60s. Pretty soon he progressed to a cadetship at the Sydney Morning Herald. I think his first job was Dog of the Week, and apparently he also ghostwrote a column for Midge Farrelly, the surfer.
Peter and I first worked together in 1972 on the ABC's first daily current affairs show, This Day Tonight.
Don, look, I've had some problems trying to find the ASIO building here in Sydney, both in the city...
It already started to change the culture into a harder investigative edge. And a classic example of that was an expose on the conditions at the Parramatta Girls' Home.
Girls are exposed to more moral danger inside than outside the homes from the number of pregnancies, bashings.
And within 12 months, that facility had been shut down.
This is yesterday's newspaper.
Peter decided to change course. He went off camera and became a producer. And when he went to Four Corners, that became an extremely important chapter for him and his career, but more importantly, for the ABC and its future in news and current affairs.
I was very, very lucky to have Peter Manning as my first producer. Our first program was The Big League.
Off the field, the officials sit far from public scrutiny.
That ultimately led to the Street Royal Commission, the standing down of the New South Wales Premier, Neville Wran.
Peter was prepared to take on the powers that be in the country, in the society, and he was prepared to unroot corruption wherever it existed.
Peter basically looked after the story generation, and I looked after the back end of making into television. And it worked pretty well for 3 years, and then he was the obvious person to become EP after I left in 1985. And he did indeed provide over one of the golden eras of Four Corners, programmes like The Moonlight State.
Competition in Queensland's vice industry is actively discouraged.
The Moonlight State made an enormous difference, not just to Queensland, but to Australia.
Police officers can do.
Not only did the former police commissioner, Sir Terence Lewis, go to jail, there were enormous reforms, political reforms, electoral reforms, that those Four Corners programs not only sustained the program itself, but also contributed mightily to the understanding of the value of the ABC.
The other thing that he continued to do was to stand up for the staff, to stand up for the stories, to stand up for the independence of the ABC.
One key change came over the war today.
Well, I saw the real character of Peter during Gulf War I, when I was a presenter.
Joining me from Canberra is the Israeli ambassador to Australia.
The Prime Minister, Bob Hawke, became very emotionally involved, very pro-Israel. They weren't happy with the way I was interviewing, and they really wanted me to be sacked as a sort of scapegoat. And Peter put his job on the line for me. He said, if she goes, I go.
He was, by a huge margin, the bravest executive producer I've ever worked with.
In 1989, Peter became head of news and current affairs, and that's when we really saw his creativity. He imagined new ways of covering our culture. Peter devised some of the great stalwarts of ABC television. Lateline.
Welcome to Lateline, a program that promises something new in Australian television.
Foreign Correspondent.
We'll be calling on ABC Television's extensive network of foreign correspondents.
And Landline.
Hello, I'm Doug Murray, welcoming you to the very first edition of Landline.
I mean, the programmes that are still going, that Peter started.
In 1994, Peter became General Manager of Radio National, and I think one of his most significant and often forgotten initiatives was putting in place Radio National Breakfast.
Plebiscite joins me in the breakfast studio.
Radio National Breakfast has now become appointment listening, the preeminent morning breakfast program today, 30 years later.
In the late 90s, he moved to Channel 7 and he did it all over again. He went to EP, a new weekly current affairs program called Witness with Jana Wendt.
Welcome to the first edition of Witness. I'm Jana Wendt.
And so there was standard.
He eventually was promoted to running the current affairs for the whole of Channel 7.
In the final phase of Dad's career, he went to teach journalism. He brought up a new generation of journalists. He taught some of the most highly decorated journalists in the country.
I cannot think of a person who has done more in the history of ABC News and Current Affairs to lay down the foundations, to help build the foundations and safeguard the integrity, the independence and the drive for excellence in ABC News and Current Affairs.
I'm incredibly warmed and happy, you know, to be given this award, and thank you so much.
Excellent. Well done.